You know, I saw David Benavidez. He said that you signing with Zuffa is a roadblock to y'all possibly fighting. Do you feel that way?
Why would that happen? Why?
I don't know. That's just how he feels. He was like, well, you know, I don't know if Zuffa's gonna work with us or whatever. So
100%. Why wouldn't they? That would be so silly not to. That's the biggest. If he wins this fight and we have a unification fight, why would anyone not have that on? Why would any promoter, the only reason they wouldn't have it on is if promoters were like, no, I'm doing.
I mean, I think that's the biggest fight in the world, especially at this weight division. You know, and that's definitely a fight I want. Like I said, I'm not scared of nobody. This is Monstro's world. And if he wants to get that fight, we get that fight. I don't know why he went to Zuffa. We could have made this fight right after this one. You know, but now I don't know if he got stripped by the IBF or what it is. You know, I'm not going to go over there and fight.
Did you also size him up a little bit? Because that's what fighters do.
Fighters always go,
okay.
But it is what it is. Sizing up, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Fucking big, tall, short, stocky, skinny.
It don't matter.
Yeah, styles are styles. You know what I mean? You got to have ammunition to fight everyone.
The Mexican monster against the Australian monster. That's a crazy fight.
Let's make it happen. I'm ready. I'm waiting for the phone call.
How would you, not to give anything away because the fight could happen sooner than later, but how would you see a fight between you and Benavidez going? Would it be toe-to-toe battle?
I don't know. He's never fought no one like me. You know what I mean? He bashed the shit out of this guy that just stood right in front of him. You know what I mean? Like, well, let's just see what
I tell you right now. Remember what I'm telling you right now. Remember what I'm telling you right now. I got proof. You know, I've been talking to his manager. I've been trying to talk to him. They're not responding to phone calls. I sent Opetaia. Listen, I know you want to fight. Help me out. Get me to your manager. Let's talk about this fight. You know, give me here's my number. Tell your manager to call me. Let's make it happen. You know, the thing is sometimes, you know, these fighters, they want to fight, but the managers and the team knows that he's not ready for David. So that's why they're not reaching.
Man, that fight's easy to make on our side. You know what I mean? I've been ready. I've been, you know, I'll just hear excuses and you know, fucking this and that, you know. Buzz, reach out. How bad do you want to fight? How bad do you want to be undisputed cruiserweight? That's an easy fight to make. Yeah. You know, there's all these little excuses and stuff, but it is what it is.
The boxing world is currently watching a massive cruiserweight war quietly crumble behind closed doors. On paper, a clash between the undefeated Samoan-Australian powerhouse Jai Opetaia and David the Mexican monster Benavidez is a guaranteed classic. Fans have been begging for this showdown, and both fighters have publicly declared they want it. But behind the scenes, a ruthless web of promotional politics, unexpected contracts, and shady sanctioning body moves is slowly destroying the biggest fight in the division.
This Opetaia stuff, do you see Zurdo as a more difficult fighter than Jai Opetaia?
Of course, you know, like I said, I'm going to give the respect to Zurdo Ramirez because he's a two-time world champion. He was a champion at 168 also. We've known Zurdo Ramirez for a long time. He's been on the on those big cards, you know. Opetaia just came and you know, it's like what he wants, you know. I want this, I want that, you know. He's mad because Zurdo didn't fight him. He's mad because we're not fighting him. You know, shit, at one point we were like that. We wanted to fight everybody, but it just takes time, you know. You gotta really, for example, you know, I'm gonna ask the viewers, would you rather see David fight Zurdo or Opetaia? If you ask a Mexican fighter, they don't know who Opetaia is. You know, he still needs to develop a little bit more and grow his fan base. Does it make sense? So if we were fighting Opetaia, people would be complaining. We're fighting nobody, about somebody that is not.
While both athletes claim they are ready to step into the ring tomorrow, the hidden truth is much more complicated. The money, the belts, and the massive egos of promoters have turned this dream matchup into a nightmare of misdirection.
Now, this is really about the bigger picture. Zuffa Boxing is trying to build its own system, its own titles, its own structure, separate from the traditional sanctioning bodies. And in that March 8th fight, Opetaia actually fought for and won the Zuffa Cruiserweight title. But he maintained after that win that he wants to be undisputed, that his goal is to still be undisputed champion. Despite the crazy stuff Max Kellerman was saying that he was already recognized as undisputed. Add to that, Dana White has said he will do right by Jai to try to do all that he can to make this goal happen for him. So this whole situation highlights an even bigger problem in boxing, and that being fragmentation. You got traditional sanctioning bodies, you got new promotions like Zuffa coming in, you have fighters trying to chase undisputed, and sometimes that path just doesn't line up. Opetaia said he wants to become undisputed, but moves like this can make that path a lot more complicated.
The entire landscape of the cruiserweight division was thrown into complete chaos earlier this year. In February 2026, Opetaia made a massive, highly controversial move by signing a contract with Dana White's rebel promotion, Zuffa Boxing. He quickly captured the inaugural Zuffa cruiserweight title by battering Brandon Glanton over 12 rounds at the Meta Apex in Las Vegas. But this monumental shift came with a severe penalty. Almost instantly, the IBF ruthlessly stripped Opetaia of his world title, punishing him for aligning with the new promotion. This decision set off a massive civil war in the sport. Instead of opening doors, the Zuffa contract built a towering wall between Jai and the traditional boxing establishment, leaving his path completely fractured.
Opetaia signed with Zuffa Boxing earlier this year in January, and in February, it was announced that his debut would be against Brandon Glanton on March 8th at the Meta Apex in Las Vegas. But right away, there was some issues. The official artwork and press release for that fight labeled it as being for the Zuffa World Cruiserweight Championship, with no mention of Opetaia's IBF title. At that point, it was pretty clear that the fight was operating outside of the IBF system, and Zuffa/Dana White had made it clear that working with the sanctioning bodies was not in their business model for Zuffa Boxing. But Opetaia's team and Zuffa actually try to make this situation work for Jai. Late in February, his co-promoter Mick Francis requested that the IBF sanction the fight, but the IBF denied the request. They cited their rules, specifically Rule 5.E.2, which I'm laughing because they got this whole Constitution byline for these things, which only allows unification fights with recognized organizations like the WBA, the WBC, and the WBO. Francis argued that this wouldn't be a unification fight, that the Zuffa belt would simply exist alongside the IBF belt, similar to how the IBO belt has been treated in previous fights. But the IBF didn't see it that way. They said Zuffa Boxing isn't subject to the same regulatory framework as recognized sanctioning bodies, and because of that, they refused to sanction the fight up to that.
Despite losing his IBF belt, Opetaia's mindset remains incredibly focused on securing a legacy that outlasts any paycheck. He recently called out other champions who use their hard-earned belts merely as bargaining chips to squeeze every last dime out of promoters. For Jai, greatness has to be the only priority. He firmly believes that if he chases down the undisputed crown and proves he is the absolute best, the massive payouts will naturally follow. He is not looking for a quick retirement payday to ride off into the sunset. At 30 years old with 30 straight victories, he feels he is at his absolute physical peak. His camp insists they are ready to make a deal right now, but they openly accuse the other side of manufacturing endless excuses to avoid a dangerous night in the ring.
When you look at the big fights out there, obviously the big one is David Benavidez. What did you make of his win over Zurdo?
Man, Zurdo made him look a lot better than, don't get me wrong, bro, Benavidez is a great fighter. But fuck. Fuck. But it is what it is. Any of those boys want to have a crack, but I'm ready.
The Mexican monster against the Australian monster, that's a crazy fight.
Let's make it happen. I'm ready. I'm waiting for the phone call.
How would you, not to give anything away because the fight could happen sooner than later, but how would you see a fight between you and Benavidez going? Would it be toe-to-toe battle?
I don't know. He's never fought no one like me. You know what I mean? He bashed the shit out of this guy that just stood right in front of him. You know what I mean? Well, let's just see what happens, bro. Let's see what happens. Let's sign the contract. Let's go.
Exciting times. And also Chris Billam-Smith's fighting in a couple of weeks. He said to me that he still wants a fight with you. I know you've gone back and forth with him. Do you see that fight happening or not?
Oh, does he? Does he want to fight now? Does he? When he's got nothing to lose. How long have I chased that fight for the WBO? You know what I mean? And avoided. Now he's got nothing to lose, everything to gain. Now he wants to fight. So when the time comes, we'll fight him. You know what I mean? I don't back down from no one. So Let's get the...
On the other side of the street, the narrative completely flips. David Benavidez recently moved up to the 200-pound limit and made a terrifying statement by violently stopping Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez in the 6th round to claim the WBA and WBO titles. Following that masterclass, Benavidez praised Opetaia as a beast, but drew a hard line in the sand. He firmly stated he refuses to fight for a Zuffa title, pointing out that dealing with Dana White's venture involves entirely too much politic.
Nous avons beaucoup de combattants qui ont traversé une autre rue dans le monde de Zuffa et en particulier Opetaia. À quel point est-ce important pour toi d'avoir une chance de l'affronter sans toute la paperasse? Je veux dire, je pense que c'est le plus grand combat au monde. Surtout dans cette catégorie de poids, tu sais, et c'est clairement un combat que je veux. Comme je l'ai dit, je n'ai peur de personne. C'est le monde de Monstro et s'il veut ce combat, nous l'obtenons. Je ne sais pas pourquoi il est allé à Zuffa. Nous aurions pu faire ce combat juste après celui-ci, tu sais, mais maintenant je ne sais pas s'il a été déchu par l'IBF ou quoi que ce soit. Tu ne vas pas aller jusqu'à leur titre de combat, mais je ne sais pas. Non, je veux dire, je pense que ce serait un super combat à faire à l'avenir et je veux dire, je respecte beaucoup Jai. C'est un grand combattant et je pense qu'il doit revenir ici pour que ces combats aient lieu parce que tu sais, on ne peut pas faire de combat à Zuffa. C'est donc ce que je veux dire. Je voulais aussi vous demander si vous avez l'impression que les combattants perdent leur pouvoir en allant vers Zuffa. Je pense que oui, je pense qu'ils perdent définitivement de leur pouvoir. C'est juste qu'il y a beaucoup de politique là, moins dedans, vous savez. Je pense que Dana White a montré qu'il ne voulait pas se battre contre PBC, Dazin. Et je ne veux même pas avoir l'impression de lui manquer de respect, mais c'est juste ce à quoi ça ressemble de l'extérieur. Si nous pouvions nous mettre d'accord et...
Backing up his son, trainer Jose Benavidez Sr. threw even more fuel on the fire. He claims his team has reached out repeatedly to make the mega fight happen, only to hear absolute crickets from the Australian's camp. Jose Sr. even went as far as questioning Opetaia's readiness, calling his recent performance against Glanton boring, and claiming Jai lacks the elite experience needed to survive the Mexican monster.
Look at that, yeah, because listening to him on social media, him saying that, you know, he's thinking that you guys don't want the fight, and you guys moving down to light heavyweight to fight Better Beef and Bevo are safer routes, he's saying.
Well, if you are to talk to him, ask him, will you reach out by Jose Benavidez Sr.? I have proofs, the dates are right there, you know? Why have you responded, you know? Not one message, not two messages. Where are you guys? Let's go. Let's make it happen. It's been a while, you know, since right after the fight, you know. But, you know, they're hiding. Like I said, you know, I'm not trying to come here and disrespect nobody. Dana White, I called you a couple of times also. I left you a text. I called you and please call me back. Let's make these fights happen, you know. They're not reaching back. You know, what do you guys want us to do, you know? At the end of the day, we want to fight those dangerous fighters, you know, like I said, you know, let's sit down and talk, you know. At the end of the day, all these are good fights. Let's make them happen. Let's give the fans.
While the public accusations of avoidance fly back and forth, an insider secret recently broke that completely changes the story. Respected boxing journalist Sean Zittel dug into the stalled negotiations and uncovered that Opetaia's team never actually sent a formal official offer to Benavidez.
Jose Benavidez, who tells me that he reached out and has proof that he'll probably show at a later time. It's on him to show it. I understand that. He texted Dana White, he texted Turki Al-Sheikh, and he texted Mick Francis, Jai Opetaia's manager, to make a fight shortly after the Zurdo Ramirez fight to discuss a fight between Benavidez and Jai Opetaia. And he got no word back. He was either left on delivered or left on read. Then after I tweeted that I just got off the phone with Jose Benavidez Sr., who's here to share me his side of things, and I'm going to relay it. Then I got a call from some other people that are not from Team Benavidez, who are very close to the situation, who are well-versed in the boxing business, okay? And, you know, I won't disclose who they were, but they wound up telling me, well, the reason why those parties didn't get back to Jose Benavidez Sr. is after a meeting fell through in late 2024 after the first Better Biev Bivol fight that Better Biev won. They tried to put a deal together to get David the light heavyweight title fight, but were instructed by David that his father does not, who couldn't apparently, this is what they're saying, couldn't get David Benavidez on the phone that Sunday. And they say it was because Jose was saying David was on a flight, he couldn't talk right now. Jose wound up telling me, it's because he's got church Sunday or whatever. He couldn't get David on the phone.
The reason behind this silence is staggering. Instead of chasing the Mexican superstar, Opetaia and his team had spent months quietly negotiating a massive unification bout with WBC cruiserweight champion Noel Mikhailian. The two fighters even faced off at an earlier Zuffa event, completely bypassing Benavidez in an attempt to capture another major belt under the radar. The entire storyline of dodging and ducking was suddenly exposed as a highly strategic business maneuver.
Ok, puoi parlarci di cosa succederà dopo contro Opetaia? Sembra che sarebbe il combattimento di unificazione più ragionevole e fattibile per te.
Assolutamente. Mentre le altre cinture di paglia Ramirez, la gente vuole vedere questo e io sono pronto. Ho chiesto questi combattimenti subito dopo essere diventato campione contro Macabo. Quanto tempo ci vorrà?
Quanto tempo ci vorrà?
Faccia a faccia o frontale?
Affrontarlo!
In questo momento sono in vacanza, poi tornerò ad allenarmi. Voglio godermi un po' il Natale, visitare la mia famiglia e mangiare un po', cibo, e poi tornerò ad allenarmi. E non vedo l'ora di combattere per l'unificazione. Sarebbe fantastico.
Quale dei pesi massimi leggeri rappresenta la sfida più grande per te?
Tutti e tre. Ci sono altri 2 campioni, o altri 3 campioni.
2 Janet.
Sono entrambi grandi combattenti. Entrambi mancini, molto esperti, stili diversi. Ramirez, forte come pugile, molto resistente, molto sottovalutato. Ultimamente ha battuto un paio di bravi ragazzi. E anche Opetaia, ottimo combattente, sa incassare i pugni. Mancino dentro e fuori, bravo con la tecnica. Ho rispetto per entrambi e sono grandi combattenti, e se vuoi scoprire chi è il miglior peso massimo leggero devi affrontarli.
Just as the Opetaia and Mikhailian fight seemed ready to cross the finish line, the boxing establishment struck back with a brutal intervention. In early June, WBC president Mauricio Sulaiman abruptly announced that Mikhailian is now ordered to face his mandatory challenger, who just happens to be David Benavidez.
सबसे पहले आपके WBC क्रूज़रवेट चैंपियन नोएल मैकेलियन जाहिर तौर पर ज़ुफा बॉक्सिंग चैंपियन गई ओपाया से लड़ने के लिए बातचीत के अंतिम दौर में हैं, और फिर भी आपने डेविड बेनाविडेज़ को उनके अनिवार्य चैलेंजर के रूप में चुना है, और मुझे लगता है कि अगर वो लड़ाई नहीं लड़ते तो उन्हें हटा दिया जाएगा। क्या आप हमें बता सकते हैं कि सोमवार को इस समय स्थिति क्या है?
हाँ, LUBC का फैसला जो सम्मेलन सार्वजनिक था, आप वहां थे। ये था कि मिका के खिलाफ बाडूजे के विजेता को WB क्रूज़रवेट चैंपियन को एक स्वैच्छिक बचाव की अनुमति दी जाएगी, और फिर 2 अनिवार्य बचाव करने होंगे। इस विभाजन का लंबे समय से समर्थन किया जा रहा है। तो मिकियान जीता, उसे सूचित किया गया कि उसे स्वैच्छिक बचाव की अनुमति दी गई है, और तब से 6 महीने हो गए हैं। वो WBC मिकेलियन के मैनेजमेंट और प्रमोटर के साथ लगातार संवाद में है। हाई के डाउन उनके बीच कुछ मुद्दे रहे हैं, कुछ मुद्दे थे। वो अल्बर्टो लियोन के साथ आखिर में कुछ जूम थे, वो वे समझौता नहीं कर पाए। इसलिए जब WBC को हमारे लाइट हैवीवेट चैंपियन डेविड मिली से याचिका मिली, जिन्होंने WBA और WBO क्रूज़रवेट क्रूज़रवेट चैंपियनशिप जीती थी मिका के खिलाफ लड़ने के लिए, तो WBC ने पक्ष में फैसला सुनाया और मिका को बेनाविडेज के खिलाफ लड़ने का आदेश दिया। ये WBC की स्थिति है। ये वो लड़ाई है जो अगली बार होनी है, जब तक कि दोनों किसी तरह के समझौते पर नहीं पहुंच जाते। लेकिन WBC के लिए अगला मुकाबला मिकियन और बेनाविडेज के बीच।
This stunning move completely derailed Opetaia's secret plans. Opetaia's manager, Mick Francis, went absolutely ballistic, calling the decision unprecedented and crazy. He pointed out that it is incredibly unusual for a sanctioning body to order a mandatory with a champion from an entirely different organization, hinting that this was a targeted attack against Zuffa Boxing. Francis has even threatened widespread legal action if the ruling forces Mikhailian to vacate rather than fight Jai for the Ring Magazine belt.
Mick Francis, de acuerdo, quedó desconcertado por la decisión del CMB y dijo esta cita: ¿cómo puede un organismo sancionador ordenar una pelea obligatoria con un campeón de otro organismo? Nunca había sucedido antes. Francis le dijo a la AAP. Hemos tenido muy buenas conversaciones y él quiere pelear con Jai. Cree que es una mejor oportunidad de ganar, lo cual me parece una locura. Por lo tanto, no creo que la pelea con Benavidez se produzca pronto. Si se aplica el CMB, lo más probable es que Noel se retire y aún pelee con Jai por la revista The Ring. Vale, hay mucho que analizar. Dejadme responder. La pregunta es, ¿qué importancia tiene el cinturón del CMB para Noel? ¿Sabes? Si no es tan importante, hará con Jaya con el dinero con el que supongo que estaría contento si estuvieran finalizando las negociaciones. ¿Verdad? Y peleará con Jai Paya por la revista The Ring. Y si eso es suficiente, entonces bueno, David Benavidez puede pelear con quien sea por él. Simplemente no querían que Noel peleara por él, ni que Jai peleara por él, debido a Zuffa y a las cosas de Dana White. ¿Y sabes qué era eso? Además del hecho de que quién lo haría. Si fueras Mauricio y solo te importara el dinero y las ganancias, ¿a quién querrías con el cinturón? ¿A David Benavidez o a Noel Mickelson? David Benavidez porque gana más dinero. Todo se trata del dinero. Así que esa es otra.
With the massive roadblock now firmly in place, both fighters are being forced to pivot toward completely different backup plans. Benavidez is left waiting for his mandated WBC shot, but he is also keeping a very close eye on the light heavyweight division. There are intense rumors that he might target the winner of the highly anticipated Bivol and Beterbiev clash, though whispers suggest that the massive fight might end up as a trilogy staged in Russia, leaving David stranded. Meanwhile, Opetaia is heavily rumored to face Zuffa's newest high-profile signing, UK star Chris Billum-Smith. Billum-Smith just secured a dramatic 7th-round stoppage over Ryan Razicki in a brutal slugfest, instantly catapulting him to the front of the line for a shot at Opetaia's Zuffa and ring titles.
אבל הנקודה עומדת. ריין רזיקי כנראה צריך ללכת, וביל סמית צריך הפסקה ארוכה אחרי קרב כזה. אם אנחנו הולכים לגרום לג'אי להילחם מול מלן, נהדר. ביל סמית נגד המנצח זה קרב זופה די טוב. הם יכולים לעשות את זה בבורנמוט, שם הם משכו קהל די טוב. אולי לחזור ללאס וגאס, לנסוע לאוסטרליה עם זה ג'פתיה. הרבה דברים שאתה יכול לעשות, עם...
The tragic irony of this entire situation is that the fans are the only ones truly losing. We have two undefeated, prime, heavy-hitting cruiserweights holding multiple belts and calling each other the best in the world, yet they cannot step into the same ring. Promotional divides, sanctioning body politics, and massive egos have completely robbed the sport of a legendary 50-50 matchup that could define a generation. It leaves a bitter taste for anyone who just wants to see the best fight the best. Will this intense promotional war eventually break down enough to let these two warriors handle their business? Or will Opetaia and Benavidez become the greatest what-if story in modern cruiserweight history? Let me know who you think is really to blame for stalling this fight down in the comments. That's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Stay tuned and we will catch you in the next video.